Welcome back to another episode of Broker's Blueprint. I am your host, Martino Picariello, joined by my co-host, Nick Giganti. And today we have a special guest, Joe Cleary. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Oh, pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah, there you go.
I know it's a icy, snowy, rainy day here in Philadelphia.
It is.
Thank you for taking the time and the drive, even on 3 tires
Oh, yeah.
and a donut to come over here.
Yes. Yeah, no
We
problem.
appreciate it.
Those Philly potholes,
Philly
man.
potholes.
They'll catch up to you.
Oh,
One in the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
that was crazy. Yeah, I was going out to dinner. I was me and Danielle and Sam were
Nice.
going out to dinner. Pull up. I'm like, I'm pick them up. Boom. I'm like, oh, that was bad. And then,
Yeah. You don't have the run flats on it?
nah, it just
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
flat right away.
Yeah.
So I parked it.
How far from
About
the house
time.
were you?
I was right in front of their house. I was like, what is this pothole on your street? I was yelling at them.
At least you were at the house, but also, yeah, it's a bad balance.
Yeah.
Because you can't get.
Yeah. So I had my daughter help me out with it this morning.
We'll post a clip of that. And, it's pretty funny. I was
Yeah,
watching.
she told me the day before she wanted to learn how to change a tire because she just started driving.
It's good to
And I
know.
was like, yeah, well, I actually just got a flat. Let's go. She did good.
Yeah,
I was proud of her.
I hope my daughter's like that.
Yeah,
Really,
I'm
though.
sure she will.
Yeah, man. But for anyone who doesn't know Joe Cleary, he's an incredible agent. He's done over 70 million in volume in his 7 years in business, and just an overall guy that you want to connect with. I think. Joe, give us a little bit about your background, where you came from. How you got to
Yeah.
Philly.
Well, I was born in New York. I lived there as a young age. I lived in Massachusetts, and I lived in South Philly since I was about 14. And yeah, man, just basically just a young kid, just striving for greatness. Had my daughter at a young age, forced me to grow up, and I feel like having her at a young age, now seeing everybody else having kids, and it's like
Sorry,
oh, I feel like it might have been actually not a bad idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 36 now. She's going to be 18 in May, and yeah, it's really just crazy how time flies, and it's like we almost grew up together. If you think about well, she's half the age of me.
It's
So
crazy.
I've had her half
That is
my
crazy.
life.
Yeah.
So yeah, now she's looking at colleges, and trying to figure out what might be the best move for her. With degrees and everything these days, it's kind of changed over I feel like when our parents were younger, colleges weren't that important. Then there was like a gap when we were younger.
It
College
was very
real
important. And now it's
And
like,
now it's kind of like
yeah, it's important I feel like if you're specializing,
Yeah.
that you want to be a nurse, that you want to be an engineer or something
Exactly.
like that.
Otherwise, there's so much knowledge on the internet these days, YouTube,
Yeah.
and all these courses you can take. I mean, if you really want to specialize in something, you got to know your numbers. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of definitely good stuff to
Yeah.
learn out there.
Yeah, does she want to follow in your footsteps? Because I think you're one of the best entrepreneurs of your time.
Well, she might. We'll see what she does. I mean, she was with me when I had the delivery service back then, which was I learned a lot from that. It was crazy because I remember when I first started that business, it was like I had a big brainstorm session with my good friends in New York, and we really realized we can do anything we want in this world, like anything we want to do. So if we wanted to get more businesses, like this is what we got to do. We got to go in, pitch our service, tell them what we charge, and then I remember one day we had like 3-4 restaurants. And then it just started, and then I would just go get restaurants as they went out of business, hire drivers. And it really was a great learning period for me. When everybody else was kind of like lost doing stuff, I was really focused on just staying busy. I always liked to hustle, and delivery jobs back then weren't too bad. A lot of my guys made good money, just delivering on a car, delivering on a bike. They can make, some of them make 100, 150 a day, delivering food. And the times changed though. I mean, back then there was it was
Yeah.
before Uber Eats.
You were ahead of your time.
Grubhub originally people could place their orders for pickup. So what happened was they would call in, and they would call in the restaurant or call in Grubhub, and I would deliver the Grubhub orders. And there was another company called Dining In, and basically the original motto was to bring people food that wasn't just pizza and like burgers. It was like nicer restaurants to offer a service to people where, Nick, you could call up your favorite restaurant and say, hey, you guys deliver? Oh, we do, actually. all right, well, I want this. And then that restaurant would call me and I would send them a driver. So it was like more of a boutique thing. But of course, some of the larger ones, like we had Hummus Grill, different like niche restaurants were good. Indian restaurants were great. And then really started to expand the menu of what people could get delivered. And then, yeah, I remember GoPuff opened their business when I was kind of like a couple years in. I was like, nah, that's a great business because basically the biggest problems with the food delivery was, the orders get messed up. It's cold. It got messed up in the travel. When you're delivering products, it's more simple. It's like,
It's toothpaste.
it's toothpaste. It's items,
Yeah.
and they don't get messed up. They're not cold. The only problem is, delivery and wait time.
Yeah.
And then, they had the direct hub. So originally it was like, do we transition to that where we go into like a Rite Aid and offer them delivery? But then I was like, that might be tricky. Well, the items in there, how do you put that on a website? So what GoPuff did was great, where they basically created their own warehouse, their own menu, and they had everything in there. And I thought that was and that's still one of the best delivery options as a business, because otherwise, Grubhub, Uber Eats, they really don't make too much money off their delivery service, but they are now, as you can see, if you've ordered lately, with the fees are crazy because it's an expensive business to do.
Yeah, and those businesses, it's like they get you hooked, and then
Get
they
you
start
hooked, and then
charging.
they
Yeah, just
start
like
to-
Uber,
yeah.
or the taxi. When it first came out, $5 here, $8 here. A couple years later, now it's $15.
Yeah.
So, but then I remember, so the space got really crowded, and what was I at the time? 26, 27, and I just had to kind of make a decision. And I remember that I was doing it for beer, and I knew your
Yeah.
brother, and your
Yeah.
brother kind of mentioned like what you were doing.
Yeah.
My cousin was doing real estate, and I started to know the neighborhoods that were like coming up, and I seen there was a lot of activity in real estate.
Yeah.
And I knew all the neighborhoods so well. I'm like, I could call people. I could go and get business like that just the same way. And it paid off really well. And I remember when I first started, I got like 2 deals done right away just by connecting, people I knew, neighbors, things like that.
You were like,
the
this
old
is easy.
service.
Yeah, you had the ability to, just from business development.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the same thing. It's leads,
Yeah, and it was, it was scary in the beginning because, like, you have a little bit of savings and the business, nothing's promised. I remember I almost ran out of money
You were telling
like
me.
twice.
Yeah.
And I would close a deal and then it would like go back up. And I was like, phew. And then I remember I closed like a couple good commercial deals on the street where, my daughter's grandmom lived, and I knew the auto body guy, and then I got the physical therapy office, and then I made like, 35 grand, and I had a little breathing room. And ever since then, I just kind of just put my head down, and that's the key, man.
What are you focusing on right now?
So right
your
now,
clients?
I still focus on, I still like the aspect of cold calling and just meeting new business owners. I like speaking with people that have multiple properties that may want to sell. It's more of a business transaction. It's always been something that I prefer to do more, because helping people find homes is great. I feel like I'm very knowledgeable. When I look at a property, I know what to look for. I can give them the best advice I can. And I feel like I've had great success with that as well. And it's something, I'm sure I'll always do. But the emotional aspect of it, and, the time consuming this, it's good, but it's just not, like, some people love it. They love to help people with it. I love it too, but I really just love working with other business owners, improving their investment portfolio, finding them good deals, whether it's a multifamily or a commercial deal.
I was gonna say, like, what subsect of properties are you
Really just
mainly focusing on?
right now, the multifamily, and then industrial commercial.
Industrial, commercial, and multifamily. Got it.
Yeah.
And how are you, for like people listening out there, like, how are you finding the good deals without obviously divulging all your secrets?
Yeah.
But like, what is it that you like, that
Yeah. Well,
brings in those deals?
Well, the key that I've learned, it's a lot of trial and error, and the key that I've really learned now is like, you got to get the data. You got to have the good numbers, and you got to have certain property criteria. So you don't want to talk to somebody that just bought a property in the last year. You kind of want to look for something that hasn't transacted in the last 10 years. and then you got to find the right numbers and how many people you're calling a day. So basically, I'm focused on just building lists of good numbers and good properties, and then calling those lists. And now I'm using a dialer so I can call more people per day. And I feel like it's really just a numbers game, because I remember the other day I called about 50 people and it was like crap. Like nobody even answered, wrong number. And I was like, it's okay, because I don't get discouraged anymore at this point in my career, because I just know that's how it is. And I know the next day, I talked to like 4 people, set up an appointment, and it's just how it goes. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah, it's like every no you get, you're just closer to that next yes.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. Not everybody's gonna pick up the phone. It's just like digging for something, or hunting for something. You go out hunting, you're not gonna
You
catch a
sit
deer
around
every time.
part of the times. Yeah.
It's a good analogy, and especially if you grew up kind of fishing, hunting, like you kind of build that tolerance too, of just like knowing that today wasn't the day. And
Nah.
if you could just be consistent in those actions, eventually the day will come.
Yeah.
And it comes in bunches when it does come. And I think what you were saying earlier with getting that breathing room in real estate, it's such a big thing for a lot of new agents. And I think in the last 2 years there hasn't been much breathing room if you just got in. So a lot of agents are really trying to, force sales, whereas I think people with experience like yourself, Nick, myself, we kind of can just take a more of a relationship approach, not too attached to that outcome. And I feel at that point, you really can service whoever you're speaking to, whether it's a buyer or a seller.
Yeah, you just gotta double down and just make more calls, and just the outcome is not always what you're looking for. But as long as you keep focused on doing it and just doing it every day, like you've been doing, I've watched you kind of just focus, and I feel like you have done very well for yourself. Proud of you,
dude. I always say this to Joe too. I wouldn't be here without him. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be. Nick.
Yeah, the golf.
Those tequila shots on the 11th hole. They brought me right to this seat, and I'll never forget that. And I think you have to appreciate the people around you. Yeah, because if I didn't even acknowledge you or Nick, right?
Yeah.
I just don't feel like I'd have any motivation to pay it forward in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people, entrepreneurs, I think you got to keep that, your why, or whoever got you to where you are, those people, like you can't forget about your people.
Yeah.
I feel like you never have.
No. And then for you, like, some people, I've just realized, like, over the time, like, some people just don't have it in them.
Yeah.
Some people are just not in the sales business. Some people can't talk to people and understand, like, what relationships can transpire to be.
Yeah.
And, when I met you, I could tell you're a, young hustler, and definitely had it in you. All you got to do is follow the process.
I appreciate that.
And that's just what it is. I mean, I think it's best for people to understand that at an age where it's like, all right, listen, I'm not a hustler. I'm not really that outgoing. I need to do this lane. This isn't for me. It's the people that get caught up where they think real estate's all like, high sales, you make good money, but it's really just, it's a very tough business.
Especially in this market that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally selling properties like 3 times.
Yeah.
City Avenue about to terminate. So that's number 2. So now I got to get that.
Yeah, we got to sell Sandy again.
Sandy, we had that sold.
Why are they falling through right now? Is it financing or what is it?
Excuse me. This guy was looking to open up a beer distributor shop, and basically the neighborhood is pushing back on him. He had a mortgage. He didn't put in a zoning contingency. He was actually kind of smart. He put in a mortgage contingency, but the mortgage was based on him getting that approval to get
smart.
So he kind of like
yeah
put it through without looking like a zoning contingency,
which is scary for a lot of sellers. Especially in Philly, you don't know if you're going to get it.
Correct. So now so basically this guy does not want to extend the settlement. So now we're working on negotiating. Maybe this guy was saying, a certain amount deposit, non-refundable to extend it. The seller wants a certain amount per month. So it might not go down, but it's like, this is like, I will say the type of market that we're in, and I don't know if you guys could speak on it, but it's this, the sellers just want these numbers that we've been talking about for so long that sometimes the buyers will be like, all right, I'll succumb to this. I'll go under contract. But then once they start doing their underwriting and their due diligence, they're out of the deal because the sellers are asking so much that there's no cushion in the deal. And then when they're in their due diligence and they go to the bank and they figure out their cost of money and all this other stuff, it's like, yeah, this deal's not really that great anymore. And then it's like this loophole of like, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, you got something under contract. It was a pretty good percentage. It was going through, especially if you got through past the D-Day. But what happened with Sandy, like I've never had that happen where it's like
day of closing.
The day of closing, the guy's like hiring architects, civil engineers, doing a phase 1, phase 2.
Tell us
this
about
guy
this.
Did everything, spent absorbent amount of money on the D-Day. We extended the settlement twice in order to give this guy more time to do his D-Day.
It's the same deal you're talking about with the beer.
This is another one.
So, yeah,
and that was
a
me
single family
brokering that,
or not single family? Is that
this
like a
was
residential?
A multifamily. It was a land deal.
Multifamily residential, mixed use, maybe
in Norristown. And
blowing up area, by the way.
What's that?
The area's blowing up. I feel like in Norristown, a lot of people are calling about Norristown and Point Breeze.
Yeah,
those are the two neighborhoods I feel like are still not there yet.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go up the Norristown transportation line, like Conshohocken is blown up. That whole rail line is blown up. Conshohocken's right there, so it's kind of like just spread out.
I was thinking North Square. Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Norristown's still blowing up though. Norristown's still blowing up.
Yeah. But anyway, so lo and behold, it's like this like perpetual. I mean, that was weird for this guy to spend that much money and then the day of just be like,
the financing.
I think it was he probably couldn't get the money or something like that.
It's like back in the day, as long as you, not even back in the day, but usually when you get under contract, there's a little more give and take on both sides because, right, like maybe there's a couple credits you need as a buyer to make sense of a deal from single family to industrial. And maybe sellers are more willing because they're under contract and they don't have to go back on the market, which is scary. So it's like, you feel like there's more give and take, but you're not seeing any of that right now. Just like, nope.
No, it's the thing that I think used to keep people in deals was FOMO. If I drop out of this deal, somebody else is going to get it, and then they're going to make the money on it.
Yeah.
And now there's like this. There's a lack of like enthusiasm for deals.
Yeah.
People are still like, I got to get at least it's better than it was last year. Like I'm not buying anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding on to my cash. Now there's people that want to do stuff, but they're very picky, very particular, because again, it's opportunity cost. If the market starts to open up and there's people that need to sell or people that are having financial issues with like a variable rate mortgage and they have to sell, people don't want to be spread thin. You know what I mean? They want to be putting their money where like they're going to get the most out of it.
Yeah, we talked about this last show where certainty. They just want that certainty.
Yeah.
They need it. They don't want it. They do, especially when you have a family, a portfolio. You just want to put your money where it's going to work. You know it's going to work.
It's going to, exactly.
And as an agent, you really got to stay on top of, like, I've learned, like, in this environment, extensions, long closing, I mean, all that stuff is much more scary now. I mean, anything can happen in 90 days. We're in a world of a lot of turmoil. And, the longer the closing is, you got to stay on top of those dates. You have a financing contingency, like what's going on with the due diligence? Where are you? Because sometimes the buyers can drag their feet. Oh, I need another 30 days because, I forgot to do, like they come up with something and it's another 30 days. Then if you're dealing on dual brokering, you got to deal with the seller and kind of tell them, keep them at ease. And then it becomes really tricky. So I've just been learning, stay on top of everything, make sure the deals are tight, and just look at the dates because we all have admins and people that help us behind the scenes. But in this market, I'm trying to really just stay on top of it myself as well too.
Yeah. Totally. And I don't know if you guys have seen this either, but two of my clients recently lost their jobs. One was a seller. One was a buyer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen like an increase in maybe some of your clients.
No, really.
Scary. Yeah. Like really, I think it's the first, I've only been in the business for 5 years now, right? At least in the sales side. And like, this is the first time in my career that I've had clients like say, I'm looking for work now. I have to put the search on pause.
It's tough to find a job now, I heard too.
And that's tough because we could talk about this a little bit, but AI is going to change the game for a lot of big companies. And I think this is such a hot topic in the country. How much are you using AI and ChatGPT in your business?
I'm using AI all the time.
All the time, right?
All the time. It's so useful. Like people that are afraid of AI taking all of our jobs. I don't know if I see it that way right now, but I see it as like when Google came, where you could search for information on Google, it just made you that much more
Yeah, then you don't have
efficient.
to read books anymore.
You don't have to read books, but it's just certain things that it could do for you that just makes you, again, like so much more efficient. There's a 100-page PDF. Boom, upload that to ChatGPT. Can you summarize this for me in 1 page?
Yeah.
Boom, all the bullet points. It's pretty crazy. But I think, especially like you're talking with real estate comes down to like data, and like that data that you could get from ChatGPT. I took all the permits that were pulled in the city of Philadelphia, a massive Excel sheet that had, it had the description of what it was in one portion of it, and cleaned it up a little bit. And I was like, take out all of the ones that aren't multifamily permits, blah, blah, blah. And it did it. It brought it down and made an Excel sheet with like the ones that were
That's incredible.
multifamily.
What was the point of that? Like, what was the intention with that list, I guess? You're gonna
Well, the intention of that list is a lot of the people that built multifamily in the last 5 years, they are, they're facing lower rental rates than they thought because of the influx of so many units.
Higher interest.
And then their interest, their adjustable rate mortgages.
Like flipping the deal in a 360. Both of those factors working together to bring the values down is, that's actually a great call. Yeah. And I'm just thinking about this, anyone watching, like that's really what brokers I think need to be doing right now. Talk about brokers blueprint being the title. Yeah. You need to be formulating lists with intention. If you're just calling and praying that someone on the other end needs your help, how are you supposed to really, kind of get business from that? But if you have an idea and a plan of attack as a broker or a wholesaler or anyone who's just trying to find deals, you can really get to that end goal much quicker, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any lists in particular you're making, Joe, that are like, I know I can help these people. I just got to get this data to know, Well,
there's so much data out there. I mean, what do you want to go after? Probates, divorce. I mean, I really just try to focus on owner occupied properties not sold in the last, 5-10 years plus.
Yeah.
Especially if they've increased in value. A lot of multifamily people will sell off a couple properties, and then they have data of how many properties is linked to that owner, and you can look at that too, so you can see who you're talking to. But it's like the AI and everything. It's just more leverage, more data. It's kind of like an assistant that's just helping you out and clearing things up. So, I mean, I'm still learning about it, and I think it's going to help us in the long run for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I love calling people in that 5 to 15 year range that they bought 5 to 10, 15 years ago, because they're sitting on so much equity. And we talked to Sam about this in one of the episodes we shot early on. Like debt equity is just sitting there. Yeah. I was bringing it up to a couple people. I had some really good conversations last week, and they're like, "Yeah, but if I pull it out, what am I gonna? You know what I mean? What am I gonna buy then?"
Yeah, it kills me because it's like so many people are sitting on these properties that have appreciated
so much.
And they're flatlining now. They're not appreciating at this point. They will if they held it for another 15, 20 years. Right. But it's like right now, you could take that money out of your property and make, at the very least, like 5-6% in the market.
What are you pulling it out at? Because that's a question that I need to probably talk to Kevin Lutchko about. Shout out Kevin with Movement.
No, I'm not saying pull it out, meaning like
if you get
realize the gain.
Selling it?
Yeah, sell the property.
Yeah, because if you pull it out, it's going to be at what percentage?
It's going to be at like, it's probably 6.5.
So you're net even, right? Yeah. So you have to,
unless you can make that.
I feel like that's where the opportunity is right now. People that have that equity in their property, a lot of people have doubled up over the past 5 years. I mean, it's not going that much up in the next, couple of years. So if you are looking to take that gain and then, reinvest it into something else, I feel like it's a great selling point for certain people.
Like 1031 for sure to avoid.
1031
that could change
other property.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, that's
take that out, but
no. 1031's not going anywhere.
I heard so many rumors about Biden wanting to take that out like 4 years ago when he got in office, and nothing ever happened.
There was talks of him wanting to get rid of that, which would have been like...
Yeah,
and also the capital gains going up to like
Yeah.
like 30-40%.
And right now it's at 18%, right? 18 to 20.
Yeah, 20%. Yeah.
That's almost double.
Yeah. So yeah, that
Stuff.
would totally just put,
People in a tight
there
spot.
would be no reason for people to sell. Imagine if you were to sell your property that you've had for so many years, and it's basically like, we're just going to take 50% of your profits.
Yeah, and you can't 1031 exchange. But for anyone who doesn't know what the 1031 is, it's just when you can take that. It's a 90-day window to identify and a 90-day window to close on your next property, right?
Yeah.
So
to defer your taxes.
Right. So you buy something for, let's just say your capital gains is $500,000, and you put that as a down payment on $1 million property. When you go to sell that $1 million, that's when you'll have to pay the piper.
Pay the piper unless you 1031 it again and again.
I know some guys that have done that. I'm sure you guys both do. What happens when they pass? I guess their kids have to pay those taxes if they decide to sell it.
That's a good question. I think at some point it gets inheritance tax, I guess.
The government will never forget about it, right? So you can't just die and they're like, oh, he's dead. We can't get it anymore. It's like death and taxes are the only two things that are 100% guaranteed in this life.
Yeah, I feel like the key for that is people that want to keep the income coming in, but just maybe have a more stable asset. Maybe you have an older property with 10 units. Maybe you want to take that money and put it into a new construction 15 unit. That's, less headaches.
Yeah. How many 1031s have you done in your career so far?
Not many. I've probably done maybe one or two, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like they're not, they're very uncommon.
Yeah. I mean,
very uncommon, but
pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. Yeah.
How many have you done?
Easily over 15, 20.
So are you advising, I'm just curious because people ask me all the time, they're like, should I start looking before selling? To really, right? Yeah. That way you're not
under the gun.
Yeah, right.
Like if you have.
So walk us through maybe one example, nice deal.
You're going to say you sell a property and that seller, like you said, and I think it's 90 days, to identify, and then you have to settle within 180 days.
180.
But when the guy goes to settlement or a girl goes to settlement, those funds don't go into their bank account. It goes into a 1031 holding company.
Like an escrow. Yeah,
keeps it away from them as the sellers, and then those funds that are held there, it's a small cost. It's like, for couple $100,000, 300, you might spend $1,500 for the fee.
Yeah.
But then at that point, then you have to identify the properties within 90 days. I believe you have to send it in, because I actually haven't done the 1031. I've just sold properties that were in effect a part of the 1031 exchange.
Yeah.
But I think you have to put something into the IRS saying like, these are the properties that I've identified, and then whichever one they close on, then the profits are deferred.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
if you got someone who's, I guess, are they selling a single family asset into a multifamily asset?
You can't 1031 your personal house. Okay. Got to be an investment
for an investment.
I believe it's got to be a like kind investment too.
So industrial for industrial.
Industrial for industrial. Say if you sold like a 15-unit building and then you bought a piece of land.
Maybe.
I don't know if that would. Yeah. I'd have to I
guess an attorney would be able to get more specific.
Maybe the viewers could, post some comments.
There's some comments in the
exactly.
And the DMs below. Yeah, that's definitely a big thing that maybe will open up in this kind of market where things are flatlining. Other assets might be dropping in value, and you could make a quick transfer from a rundown property that has deferred maintenance to something brand new, maybe tax abated.
Yeah, and I think that's like the thing that, I was talking with Joe too. It's like always looking for that. Like, what is the target? What's the target? Like, who are going to be the people that are transacting right now? So it's like those people with multifamilies. Like, you think about someone who's owned a multifamily for 10, 15 years. It's the turnover. It's the maintenance cost. It's just the management of it. It becomes a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it anymore. So then those are people that's a good target. You know what I mean? Then you have for like industrial, you have the people that are like the baby boomers that own their businesses and they bought these warehouses for nothing and now they're actually worth something. Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of like where I feel like to be a good, effective broker, utilizing the data, figuring out what are the pain points for these people, and then going after them and then seeing if that data sector, that consumer section of property owners are they more apt to selling right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and
where we're at.
we got so much data out there. Use it. AI, this prop stream, big one that you use, fetch, all these. There's so
I
much out
haven't
there.
logged into that fetch yet. I was actually going to play around with it.
It's interesting.
Is it?
It's pretty spot on.
It's
Yeah.
pretty spot on.
Yeah, most of the numbers have been awesome, and then I'll cross-reference them with like there's a new True People search, like cyber or something.
It's free.
Free, yeah, and it's just like way more accurate, simple to use, very.
Why do you need to use that with fetch though?
So just to cross-reference it, so it's like, all right, this guy has 3 numbers. Let me look up his free site, and now that I have, and just be like, all right, which one do I see that's like, all right, these are the 2 same numbers. That's probably the right one. Usually it's a mobile. You always want to get those mobiles. If you see a landline, you're like, I might as well not even call it.
Yeah, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's so true. However, some of the old people do.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
you got to take a shot with them, but you're almost, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to say a number, but 5 to 10% pickup ratio on landlines versus like 50, 75, 25.
Yeah.
Anything in the city, just to pivot, anything in the city that you're really liking right now about Philadelphia and real estate in particular?
I like what they're doing down in by the stadiums.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. It's going to be so nice.
I
Yeah.
think that keeping the Sixers stadium down there, they're really going to build up that part of the city. It's all flat over there. That's all going to get developed over the next 10 to 20 years, I think. And it's going to be like another type of city of some sort, and maybe more technological, tech buildings surrounded by the stadiums, a little bit of shopping. It's going to be a real attraction for the city, I think, connected with the Navy Yard.
And then the Bellwether. I just saw a JLL banner put up. Big. Did you see that on the way in? You take that same road?
Yeah.
76?
Yeah.
They just put up a JLL.
Banner on it.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that should be a Hunter's banner.
Yo, I thought about that. I'm like, how would we get that leasing deal?
Is Mr. Patterson?
Yeah,
Ron-
Mike. Ron Patterson represented them for the approvals.
Maybe it's a handshake and that's all it is, but it could be a good opportunity if JLL doesn't do anything in the first.
Yeah.
Like that sells itself or leases itself, I guess.
Yeah.
It's such a good location.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all going to be life sciences, by the way. Bellwether District is going to be, I don't have it pulled up. I don't know. Our man behind the camera, Taylor, I don't know if you could pull up info on the Bellwether project, but we talked about that in the first ever episode of the show.
Yeah.
Back when it was Real Talk with the Hunters.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Throwback. I still
Throwback
think
to 24.
we talked about it. I still think it's the most. It's going to be the most beneficial development to forever.
I agree.
For Philadelphia.
Yeah.
In its history, I think.
Yeah,
It's
the location.
1,300 acres.
Is that what it is? 1,300 acres.
It's
Do you
like
see it?
5% of
See,
all of
Nick's a
Philadelphia.
human encyclopedia. Is that spot on? Yeah, Taylor's giving us the nod. 1,300 acres.
I think it's like 5% of Philly's landmass is one.
It's ridiculous. And what did they spend on it? $4 billion to develop it in the next 15 years, it says.
Yeah.
$4 billion. And then you have the FDR Park, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Park, which is like right between that and the Navy Yard, which you just said is all flat, developable land. So
Yeah.
big ups there. If you're an investor, are you thinking buy some South Philly properties close to Oregon and in, or like even Schneider Avenue and in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, but it's the motorcade building. What is it on like Race and Broad? You know that building, the old
I went to high school on Broad and Vine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's right next to Roman. It's
across the
one
expressway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one building that's north of it, multifamily.
Yeah. I used to walk by it all the time. What was that building?
It just got bought for, I think it was like $39 million, but at like a 5.15 cap.
Wow, that's a low cap rate.
Yeah.
It must be in good condition, I assume.
It's a beautiful building. Yeah. I mean, it's probably 15, 20 years old.
Nice.
I think.
Yeah.
The building itself is an old school building, but they rehabbed it. I think it was like 15, 20 years ago.
Wow.
But I'm just saying that for the fact that to see like cap rates that low
For a value add.
What?
It's a value add, right?
Possibly. I don't know. I didn't look at the pictures.
The goal for investors would be to bring the cap rates down, right? With value add plays, if you buy it at a 10 cap and you sell it at a 5, you make a great spread. Yeah. So there's really not much value add there, I'd assume, right? 5% already?
Unless they can get a higher higher rents. But if someone's coming in and spending that much money at a cap rate that low, that means that they obviously are like interested in what's happening in the city of Philadelphia.
That, and also they probably have a lot of excess capital that they have to spend.
Possibly.
Right? Like these funds in New York that I've heard stories of going, like, I think maybe Phil was talking about it or someone on our show before. They've had an excess of money sitting in their investment accounts from last year that it's not like it goes back to the investors. It just stacks on top of what's coming in.
They have horizons with funds where it's like, we're going to take your money and invest it for 5 years. And then after 5 years, we have to divest out of these real estate, positions that we were in, sell it. So that's another potential, target for people like selling these funds that have owned properties for like, because typically the horizons are like, I think it's like 5 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Joe, have you ever done a deal with any of these kind of funds?
No.
No.
One of those? No, but I would like to.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of my goals to do a really large deal over the next, year.
Yeah.
With like some of these larger companies. Once you get in with them, I just feel like you could just change the outlook of everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that goes for all of us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, like I guess the JLLs, the Colliers, and I don't know, MPN maybe, they kind of have that in already. But once the hunters get that in, it's like they're going to realize.
I think we're working our way up, and it's funny because I spoke to a couple people, and they're like, "It's going to take a while. It's going to takes like 3 years to really like establish yourself as like kind of like a commercial go-to outfit." And I think in the matter of a year, I mean, we selling the laurel for like a great price that 3 other brokers try to sell. We're getting good listings here and there, and I think it's just like our work ethic. We just got to keep grinding and keep trying to put deals together. But Phil's getting more into the Florida area. I feel like we're bridging out into Jersey more too now.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, it's because it's been such a hard environment. A lot of the competition is going to be, I think, out of the game.
Yeah.
It's really up to us to really take a hold of it. And if we want to be doing those bigger deals, it's at the end of the day, it's who you calling, who are you making relationships with, the guys that are bigger. That's it. That's what you make your focus on. And that's kind of like, what I'm trying to do as well. But those deals also take a lot longer, and it's kind of like, all right, right now mixing a little bit of the stuff I've been doing, you know what I mean, selling the land for $500,000 or $1 million, and then I could focus on the $40 million,
Exactly,
land development or industrial development deal, and wherever.
Yeah.
I remember that was the first thing you taught me when I got in with the team was like, always have that one deal in the pipeline.
Yeah,
You remember telling me that? Yeah, back at 2401 Walnut Street, you were like, just have that one that's always in the back burner. Like for Phil and me, it's always been the Bentley. We're both trying to get that done. And we love it. It's
I
like
think Phil, I don't know. I think he's got it.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna get it.
Yeah, I hope he does.
That'd be a great.
Great. And it's a big learning experience for me because his process at the end of the day was just, I think, better than mine. Truly, in that situation, he put his LOI in. Like we both did, but he had strong financing, which was always number one. And he said that to us in the show. He was like, dude, if you have all these contingencies and this, that, and your financing's weak, it's just not going to work. But he's like, if you come in hard with cash, like over time, someone's going to fail. It's going to fall through 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. That deal's gone under and out, I think 3 or 4 times. Right?
And I've literally, my process was make friends with the banks, which I did a great job creating a great relationship with the guy, Sean. Awesome guy. His son played hockey, so we kind of built that relationship just pretty organically, talking about the game. But his process of just like putting in that LOI, following up every week, automatic emails, kind of like it just beat me out from trying to have like that cute little relationship, maybe, And also, my client used to own the building, so I'm like thinking it's a lock, right? But Phil's process taught me a lot of just doesn't matter, just kind of stick. What you said earlier, they might not accept it right away. They might not answer the call right away, whatever it is, but you just keep making those calls, keep putting in those offers, keep tracking that. You'd be like, oh, wait, I closed X amount. Yeah. And I just stayed in my process. So,
exactly.
But always have that one deal in the pipeline. And feel like we always do. It's always fun hearing about your deals and, the 40+ million range, or at least are you just under 40 now on that one? I mean, I don't want to disclose anything yet, but
I don't know if that might be one of the ones that I was close, but this guy's listed it with he listed it with somebody. He had carved it kind of out of the exclusive our buyer, but I don't know. This guy's kind of like dilly-dallying, so it's I don't know.
Yeah. That's a fun one to work on, I feel.
Whatever. At the end of the day, I'm grateful to work on a deal of that size. I made a lot of good connections with some buyers for that deal. So now it's like, all right, find the next one.
That's it.
Find the next one.
Florida's a fun market to be in right now.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Thanks for having me. I mean,
I
love working with you guys all the time. Yeah. So we got a great team. And I feel like, keeping yourself surrounded by a good team in this type of environment is really important. You got to have a good crew. And definitely grateful for everybody. Yeah. Stay motivated and keep your circle tight and just put in that work every day. Yeah. That's all you could do.
That's all you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, and not get too high, right? Not get too low.
Yep. Exactly.
Nate, do you want to tell the followers or listeners anything?
If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. We're going to be dropping these on a weekly basis, and you're going to get a lot of good information about it. And please do that. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.